That harmony of Saidin and Saidar, the dance of two halves we spoke of, gains its sharpest poignancy when we turn to Saidin itself, not as a balanced partner, but as a current twisted by shadow. Even before the Dark One's taint seeped into it during the breaking of the world, Saidin carried a raw, unforgiving potential for destruction, a force that demanded mastery or consumed the one who reached for it. It was never a power of gentle attunement like Saidar. It was a storm waiting to be harnessed, and even the most skilled hands risked being swept away. Lews Therin Telamon, the Dragon Reborn, who once sealed the Dark One's prison, learned this truth long before corruption took root. In the tales woven into the world of Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time, we hear of how he shaped mountains with Saidin, how he split seas to protect his people, but also how a single misstep in channeling could level a village. Saidin did not yield to wishful thinking. It responded only to unbreakable will, and when that will faltered, its strength turned inward or outward, leaving ruin in its wake. Rand al'Thor felt this firsthand in the Eye of the World, when he first channeled to save Egwene from a Trolloc. He did not mean to shatter the trees around him or crack the earth beneath his feet. He only meant to defend. But Saidin's raw power did not distinguish between defense and destruction, not when wielded by a boy who had no idea how to hold it back. That was the danger inherent to Saidin. It was not malicious, but it was indifferent to fragility, a hammer that could build or crush depending on the hand that wielded it, and even the best hands could slip. For male channelers after the breaking, that slip became inevitable, for the taint turned Saidin's inherent danger into a death sentence, madness, a constant companion ticking like a clock in their heads. Rand's struggle with this is the beating heart of his journey, a nightmare he cannot outrun. In the fires of heaven, he begins to hear Lews Therin's voice, a whisper that grows louder, that accuses him, that begs for death, until he can no longer tell his own thoughts from the madman's. It is not just a hallucination. It is the taint eating away at his mind, turning his greatest strength into a weapon against himself. He locks himself in rooms to scream. He pushes away the people he loves because he fears the moment when the ticking stops and he becomes the monster the world already believes him to be. Logain Ublar, the former false dragon, knew this terror too. Before he was healed of the taint, he raved about visions of the Dark One, about enemies hiding in every shadow, and when the madness peaked, he lashed out at his own followers, good men who had pledged loyalty to him. The taint did not just make male channelers dangerous to others, it made them prisoners of their own minds, counting down the days until they lost themselves entirely. Even minor channelers, those with just a spark of Saidin, faced this fate. In the gathering storm, we meet a farmer who can channel just enough to mend fences, but who begins to see his wife as a dark friend, who swings an axe at her before he is stopped. The clock never stops ticking for them. Yet in that darkness, there is a tragic beauty, a glow of humanity that even the taint could not extinguish, a choice by some male channelers to transcend their fate, if only for a moment. Lews Therin, for all his madness, became Rand's greatest ally in A Memory of Light. When Rand stands at Sheol Ghul, ready to surrender to the Dark One, it is Lews Therin's voice that pulls him back, that reminds him of the people he fights for, that says, "We are one, Rand al'Thor. One soul, one heart." It is a moment of clarity in a lifetime of chaos, a proof that even a mind broken by the taint can hold on to purpose. Logain, too, found dignity in his struggle. Before his healing, he refused to be cowed by the White Tower's gentling. He chose to face his madness head-on, to retain his pride even as his mind frayed. And there is Tom Merrilyn's brother, Owen, a minor channeler we hear of in The Dragon Reborn. Owen knew the taint would drive him mad, but before it did, he used his small gift to heal sick children in his village, to mend roofs for the poor, to do good until the madness took over. He did not let the ticking clock define him. He defined the time he had. Rand, in his darkest hours, did the same. When he wanted to kill himself to end the madness, he thought of Egwene, of Mat, of Perrin, of the people who needed him, and he kept going. He did not transcend the taint by erasing it. He transcended it by choosing humanity over despair. Saidin, then, is more than a corrupted current. It is a mirror held up to male channelers, reflecting their strength and their fragility, their capacity for destruction, and their refusal to be destroyed. The raw power was always there, the madness a cruel addition, but the beauty, that came from the men who chose to fight, who chose to see themselves not as monsters, but as people, even when the world and their own minds told them otherwise. It is a tragedy that their dance with Saidin had to be so painful, but it is a beauty that they danced anyway. If Saidin is a corrupted current, wild, tragic, and unforgiving, then Saidar is its counterpoint, a flowing embrace that wraps around the weave rather than grappling with it. This difference is why the world of the Wheel of Time often sees Saidar as safer, more controlled, but that safety is not weakness. It is a gentle strength, rooted in attunement rather than dominance, a way of working with the weave instead of against it. Egwene Alver taught us this in The Eye of the World, when she first stumbled into Saidar while trying to calm a frightened horse. Unlike Rand, who grabbed Saidin like a lifeline and was nearly swept away, Egwene did not fight the power. She listened to it, the hum of air in her ears, the warmth of fire in her bones, and let it move through her. The weave bent not to her rage or fear, but to her focus, and in that moment, she wove a simple shield of air that quieted the horse. That is the heart of Saidar's perceived safety. It does not demand brute force, so it rarely spirals into destruction. Even Nynaeve Almira, whose temper is as fiery as any Saidin storm, learned this. In the Great Hunt, when she first tried to heal a wounded soldier, she fought Saidar, gripping it too tight, and the weave unraveled. It was only when she stopped struggling, when she let the power's flow guide her, that she mended his broken ribs. Saidar does not coddle its wielders, but it rewards patience, and that patience makes it seem more controlled. It is not less powerful, it is power with a softer edge. Yet female channelers who wield Saidar face challenges that male channelers, for all their struggle with madness, never know. The tangled politics of the White Tower, its strict hierarchy, and the rigid control that seeks to shape not just how they channel, but who they are. The Tower, the supposed home of Aes Sedai, is a web of rules. Novices must bow to accepted to Aes Sedai, and even Aes Sedai answer to the Merlin seat and the respective Ajahs. To step out of line is to face punishment, from being confined to cells, to having one's ability to channel restricted. Nynaeve felt this weight more than most. When she arrived at the Tower in the Dragon Reborn, she refused to accept the novice's role, to be told when to sleep or what to wear, and the Aes Sedai responded by breaking her will. They made her scrub floors for weeks. They mocked her country ways, all to teach her humility. But Nynaeve's defiance was not just about pride, it was about resisting a system that tried to turn her strength into obedience. Egwene too battled the Tower's control when she became a Merlin seat in the Shadow Rising. The Ajahs, especially the Red Ajah, which hated male channelers, tried to undermine her, to make her a puppet. They refused to share resources, they spread rumors about her loyalty, and they even plotted to replace her. For female channelers, the fight is not just against the Dark One or the seanchan, it is against a hierarchy that fears their power, that tries to box it into neat, obedient shapes. Saidar may be a flowing embrace, but the world around it often feels like a cage. And yet, it is Saidar's complexity, the way it weaves together threads with precision and subtlety, that makes it unmatched, even by Saidin's raw strength. Saidin excels at shaping matter-breaking mountains, forging stone, but Saidar excels at the intricate, the invisible, the things that require a deft touch rather than brute force. Take healing. Nynaeve's ability to rip illness from the body, to mend broken bones, and even reverse death for a short time is a feat no male channeler could replicate. In the Fires of Heaven, she healed Rand of a wound inflicted by a Forsaken, a wound that Saidin itself could not repair. She wove threads of water and spirit into a net so fine it could catch the taint's residue, a precision that Saidin, with its broad, powerful strokes, could never achieve. Or take the art of masking. Moiraine de Modred, in The Eye of the World, used Saidar to weave an illusion that made her and Rand invisible to Trollocs. The weave was so subtle, so layered with threads of air and spirit, that even a channeler would struggle to detect it. Saidin could create a wall of fire to hide behind, but it could not make someone vanish into thin air. Saidar also excels at linking. When multiple female channelers join their powers, their weaves merge into something stronger, more intricate than any single channeler could manage. In A Memory of Light, Egwene linked with a dozen Aes Sedai to weave a shield around Sheol Ghul, a shield so complex it blocked the Dark One's influence from seeping out. Saidin's channelers, even when healed of the taint, rarely link. Their power is too individual, too focused on dominance. Saidar's strength lies in its ability to connect to the weave, to other channelers, to the quiet, hidden parts of the world that Saidin cannot reach. Saidar, then, is not just a safer version of the one power. It is a force of subtlety and resilience, a flowing embrace that can heal, protect, and outmaneuver even the greatest threats. Female channelers may fight against politics and hierarchy, but they wield a power that Saidin can never match. A power that turns patience into strength, precision into weaponry, and unity into something unbreakable. The world may see Saidar as gentle, but gentle does not mean weak. It means knowing when to listen, when to adapt, and when to weave a thread so fine it changes the course of the wheel itself. That is the magic of Saidar. It does not roar. It whispers, and the world bends. The harmony of Saidin and Saidar we saw in the last battle was not the end. It was a glimpse of a future where the One Power's untapped potential finally unfolds, free from the shadow of the taint. When Rand al'Thor purified Saidin in Winter's heart, he did more than heal a corrupted current. He cracked open a door to a world where male and female channelers weave side by side, no longer divided by fear or tradition. We can already see the first threads of this world in the aftermath of A Memory of Light. Logan Ablar, once a false dragon haunted by madness, now trains young male channelers in Tar Valon's outskirts, teaching them to wield Saidin with the same precision Egwene once taught novices to wield Saidar. Aes Sedai, who once feared male channelers, now stand beside them in workshops, debating how to merge Saidin's structural strength with Saidar's intricate flow. This is not a return to the Age of Legends. It is something new, born from the lessons of the Breaking and the Last Battle. In the Age of Legends, male and female channelers worked together, yes, but they did so without the scars of division. Now, they weave together with the knowledge of what happens when balance is lost. Imagine a Tar Valon where novices of both genders learn side by side, where a young man channels Saidin to shape the stone of a new tower, while a young woman uses Saidar to weave vines into its walls, creating a structure that is both unbreakable and alive. Imagine villages where male channelers mend broken bridges with Saidin's force, and female channelers heal the sick with Saidar's touch, their powers complementing each other like sun and rain. This is the world beyond the taint, not a utopia, but a place where the one power serves the pattern as it was always meant to, whole. From this unity, new weaves and abilities will emerge, ones no channeler of the past could have dreamed of. Saidin's strength lies in shaping matter, in forging and building. Saidar's lies in precision, in healing and growing. Together, they can unlock weaves that blend these strengths into something entirely new. Consider healing. Nynaeve Almira once pushed Saidar to its limits, to mend Rand's broken bones. But even she struggled to repair the damage the taint left on his mind. With Saidin's help, a channeler could weave Saidin's structure to rebuild damaged neural pathways, while Saidar's flow soothes the pain, curing madness or injuries that once seemed permanent. Or take environmental restoration. The breaking left vast stretches of land barren, mountains split, and rivers diverted. A team of channelers could use Saidin to realign the Earth's crust, straightening broken mountain ranges, while Saidar weaves life into the soil, making dead fields bloom again. We already saw a hint of this in the Gathering Storm, when Rand used Saidin to dry a flood and Egwene used Saidar to regrow crops. But imagine doing it in tandem, faster and more thoroughly. There could even be weaves that manipulate time itself, a feat once thought impossible. Saidin to anchor the fabric of time, preventing it from unraveling, and Saidar to gently bend it, allowing channelers to repair small cracks in the pattern before they become disasters. These are not just speculations, they are extensions of what we know the One Power can do. Saidin and Saidar alone are powerful, but together, they are limitless. Beneath these new weaves lies a deeper truth, the philosophical implications of balance, not just in magic, but in every corner of life. The Wheel of Time has always been a story about balance, the balance between light and dark, between free will and fate, and now, between Saidin and Saidar. Rand's greatest realization in A Memory of Light was not that he was the Dragon Reborn, but that balance is the ultimate force in the cosmos. He understood that he could not defeat the Dark One with Saidin alone, just as the Dark One could not win by corrupting only one half of the power. This lesson ripples beyond channeling. It shapes how the world rebuilds after the last battle. The White Tower, once a rigid hierarchy that valued obedience over balance, now reforms, giving male channelers a voice in its leadership and rejecting the idea that one gender's power is superior. Nations that once fought over land or ideology now work together, realizing that their differences, like Saidin and Saidar, are strengths, not weaknesses. Even ordinary people begin to see balance in their daily lives. A farmer learns that his strength, like Saidin, and his wife's wisdom, like Saidar, make their farm thrive. A blacksmith understands that his hammer's force and his apprentice's careful hands create better work. This is the true, untapped potential of a world with cleansed Saidin, not just new weaves, but a new way of living, one that honors balance as the foundation of all things. The One Power's untapped potential is not just about magic. It is about what happens when we stop seeing the world in halves, male or female, strong or gentle, Saidin or Saidar, and start seeing it as a whole. Rand's purification of Saidin was a catalyst, but the real work is in the weavers who choose to stand together, in the villages that embrace balance, in the tower that reforms. We do not need to imagine this world. We can see it taking shape in the wake of the last battle, in Logain's workshops, in Nynaeve's healing halls, in the children who will one day weave Saidin and Saidar together without ever knowing the fear of division. This is the promise of the One Power, not just power to shape the world, but power to heal it, to balance it, to make it whole. And in that wholeness, we find the wheel's truest purpose, to turn, not in division, but in harmony.